Everyone, welcome back to MJS Coaching Football. As always, thank you for watching my channel because, as always, I greatly appreciate it. Today, in my continuing Read Blitz playlist, I'm going to share with you one of our gap scheme, preferably a gap counter scheme pressures concept that we developed to try and deal with gap, specifically gap counter schemes, okay, and the boots and so forth that can be become part of a series off of the play, okay, the base play. So today, here's what I'm going to do with you. I'm going to go over what we call the cage blitz concept, and why it's called cage will be part of the presentation. I'll go through what the cage blitz concept is by each defender, okay, involved within the concept. It's essentially the box defenders and the call side safety, as you'll see. And then over here, it's the same blitz, but what I'm going to do for you is illustrate up top when the inside linebacker opposite the call has a clear read versus when the inside linebacker opposite the call has a cloudy read. Okay, and within that, what happens when the center is able to get back on the defensive end, okay, versus when he's not able to get back on the defensive end. So a clear block back by the center versus more of a chip or a duo combo down here. So that's why I have two different diagrams for you today. Okay? So, cage blitz concept, the code name for the one I'm going to show you, we call bears, right? You call it whatever works for you. I'm going to show it to you out of our 5 front system, which again in our 3-4 is our 3 down system. You know, it's our base, and we have variations off of that. So first up, right, number one, what is the cage blitz concept? Well, for us, it's a gap, specifically a gap counter scheme blitz. All right, it used to be teams were gap scheme teams. That's a mouthful. Typically with a power in the gap scheme, and once in a while they'd have a counter, and then they'd have once in a while a zone. Now it's teams all have zone, right, with some gap and a little bit more gap counter. We play a team in particular that most of their run game is gap counter scheme. Okay, that's where this might have originated from, right? Okay. So that's what it is specifically. Now, the goal blitzer, right? The person who is going to be coming hard off the edge through the C gap. They are boot cutback defenders. Okay? So when we run our cage blitz concept, we're trying to defeat the gap counter scheme itself for sure, right? But we're also trying to make sure that the guy in the press box sees that the boot off of the gap counter is not there, so don't call. Okay? And then after a while, out of frustration, the back will cut back inside, and there is our cutback defender who should be unblocked. Okay? But that's what our go blitzer is. He's looking for the boot first, cut back second. So he's going to make sure he clears the quarterback. The defensive end on the call side, right? He's the one of the, 2 reasons I have a top and bottom diagram. He's going to slant B gap, and he's going to be focused on the backfield. And again, when we get to the diagram, I will show you that. It'll be backfield of the center, and or it'll be backfield of the guard. Okay? So that refers to his depth. Now, the nose, who's always a part of everything because the nose is in the middle, right? So the nose is part of the call side, nose is part of the backside, right? The nose is going to slant A away, and he's either going to puncture or wipe. And what that means, I'll share with you. But as he slants, when I show you, as he's moving upfield, he's reading the course of the guard. And that's what the puncture and wipe is. Okay? Now, the inside linebacker on the call side, hence the name of the concept, cage, he's reading guard to center. So why do I call it cage, right? Isn't that center and guard? Well, the order doesn't matter, guard or center, but it's center and guard. He's reading both. Otherwise, I'd have to figure out a way to, call it GAC, guard, right? So that's why I came up with cage, pretty simple. Okay, for that reason, he's reading both guard and center. All right? And when the guard specifically, and I'll talk about how to, essentially call this when you should. When the guard pulls inside, he's going to plug the A gap opposite, and the key is he's going to make the nose right. So he's coming from depth. He has the opportunity to make the nose right. So if the nose punctures, he's going to wipe. If the nose wiped, he's going to puncture. Boom! Okay? So the last one on the call side here is the safety. And the safety's got deuce. In this case, it's a 2x2 set, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. But he's also going to be part of run support on the backside. He's what we call stub, which means safety's got B gap. And we tell him, you read what the running back sees. Read what the running back sees. It helps them focus their eyes. Okay? So now let's get to the defenders opposite the call side. First up is the inside linebacker. He essentially has two reads. It's either clear or it's cloudy. And if it's clear, we say shoot the open window. That means the gap's open. Right in front of you, son. Whoop, shoot it. Okay? Because in this particular blitz, he is a B gap defender, as you'll see. So if it's open, shoot it. If it's cloudy with bodies, then we're going to teach him how to patch C and D gap and what patch means. My subscribers know it, but not subscribers, push the button and you have access to well over 500 different videos. Okay? But that's the inside linebacker opposite call. The defensive end opposite the call is going to slant C, and he's going to be the shuffle guy. That's what we have, our shuffle technique. Again, non-subscribers, push the button. And he is going to box the kick out. We are normally a spill team. In this particular concept, he's got to box it, which means he's got to stop it and force the ball to his inside. And if nothing else, if he sets the edge hard enough on the box, he can force the bounce outside east and west. Okay, even though he's boxing it. So the last thing here I did tell you is, why would you call this? When would you call this? How are you going to know if you're calling it at the correct time? Am I just guessing? The answer is no. And here's what we found. And you got to do it through your own film study. But our film study told us, number 2, it is best to call this when the halfback's on the same side as the two pullers. Right? The kick out and the wrap. Either a GT or the GH. And the GT is a little tougher. But what I'm going to show you today is a gap counter scheme with you using the guard and the H-back, GH. Halfback and the H are on the same side. Okay, again, that aforementioned team, 97% of the time, the halfback's on the side of the H-back. You still got to stop it. They still got dudes everywhere. But it's a place to begin, right? Pretty solid tendency. All right, so let's get going. Up here, this is Liz, pass string. Again, non-subscribers, push the button. We have an east position for the halfback. We got a right call for the H-back. East and I are, same thing. Good time to call it. So obviously, if it's a huddle team, it'd be a little more difficult. But you can make checks. Okay? Most of the teams we play, except for one, are no huddle. Okay, we only play one huddle team. So when you can see them lining up or you teach your players and drill, when the back shifts to the side of the H, check it to that right. Now you got something. So I got the guard and the H-back in red because kick, wrap, GH, okay? The go call is the go blitzer, is our outside linebacker, the rover. All right, call side linebacker to Mike, right? He's the one reading guard and center. Our inside linebacker opposite call is the backer. Our D end opposite in this case is the end. Okay, our whip happens to be on the side of the call, so he's the deuce stub. Our outside linebacker is detached opposite the call, so he checks orbit. Per base rules, he's also deuce. And the Falcon safety, what's meant by BAM, middle third, because when it's a Ringo, it's a Roger, so our safeties are spinning properly post snap. BAM means ball after mesh, so he's not just going to rotate middle on the snap. He's going to read for the ball coming out after the mesh, ball after mesh. If the quarterback still has it, they're thinking pass now. Even with the GH, they pull, he'll keep it, and they'll execute the boot off of it. See what I mean? So BAM, ball after mesh. Quarterback still has it, he'll rotate middle. If the quarterback does not have it, obviously the running back does. Now he's going to fit into the box and run support. All right, so now let's get to this. Okay, the scheme part of it, right? The rover. Okay, he's the C blitzer responsible for boot. It's easy for me to say. Boot cutback. All right. So he's going to pull. He's going to pull inside. As our rover, go blitzes, C gap up the field. He too, essentially, and it's going to be real quick, is reading BAM, ball after mesh. If the quarterback has it, that's his job. He's got boot. If the quarterback does not have it, he's got cutback. He'll fold inside. He's got. We don't say just fold because the back could cut butt side of him. I don't want him to fold too hard, too sharply. So cutback, we say we want you attacking his butt, so he cannot cut back on you. You follow what I'm trying to say? Okay. So that's his job. So now let's get to the all-important center. Okay. He's reading this. His eyes go to the center. There's the block back. And I'll get to the tackle in a minute. Okay. So we'll come back to him. As he's slanting, when it says, right, slant B gap backfield, he's going to go to the backfield side of the center. It's called gap integrity, level integrity. Okay, if he comes here and gets cut off, there's going to be a huge cutback. Oh, yes, we have a safety, but we don't want it to be too big, right? We've got running backs who make people miss in the hole at this level. Okay, so we have that. So now what typically does the tackle do? The tackle, because we're head up, what we see the tackle do is the tackle blocks out. Not necessarily anticipating the go blitz, but he blocks out. So we got to teach some tight arm over moves, some clubs and so forth to get past that tackle. Okay, you don't want to get caught up with the tackle. So that's the situation there, backfield of the blocking back center. So now we get to the nose. And the nose is, right, slant A away, it's Ringo, so he's going left, puncture, or wipe. So he's going to get a down block from the guard. If basically what we tell him, if you could see the ear hole, not the backfield ear hole, the ear hole on this side, you're going to wipe across into B gap. If you see any kind of light, we want you to puncture the A gap. Because this is usually, it looks different here. It looks like it might be a wide split. It's usually a foot and a half split, so it closes quickly. So we got little drills, triangle drills. If it's more of a flat step, he'll see the side of his head. He's going to wipe into B. If it's more of an angle at him, he's going to puncture up into the A gap. Okay? So that's that situation. So now back to the call side linebacker who's reading guard and center, right? Pull. He's coming over. He sees he's puncturing. So now he's going to wipe, which means he's in the B gap. Okay? I'll get to the safety in a minute. What defines whether or not it's clear, if this guy does, if our defensive end, and he probably won't, get any piece of the offensive tackle, because remember, he's doing that. If he comes flat to try and pick off the backside linebacker, that's going to open. His toes at 4. That's going to be clear. He's going to take it. So now for him to wipe, he's got to patch over the tackle. And we teach the linebackers all the time how to, on pulls, how to get their eyes on the opposite side to look and see who's coming to block them, because somebody is. Okay? So before I get to this whole kick thing and boxing it and so forth, he's it stepping. He sees the pull. He's coming down. Now he's reading BAM as well. If the quarterback has it, he'll get his eyes looking for somebody coming into the flat because the tight end's gone away. He's not going to chase the tight end. All right. If the quarterback does not have the ball, now he's coming in here and he's probably looking at that right there. So we have everything accounted for. And if this guy got backfield real quick, so this started the show, between him and the cutback, we'd be able to take care of the B gap there. See what I'm trying to say? So now, here comes the kick. He's going to box it, but meanwhile, the running back's trying to find a place to go, punctured, wiped. It was clear, so he shot the open win. There's no place for the ball to go. Okay? So now down here, not that anything changes. Okay? We'll go more flat that time. We'll go more flat that time. You'll get a little bit deeper. Okay? So we got the same situation, right? Boot cutback. Now here, okay? The center is flat, and he's not really coming. He's going to tighten up the course. He doesn't need to be as deep in the backfield. Remember, depth is what we're talking about. So if he's flat and he's not really making headway towards him, he can tighten it up. Just avoid the center on the backfield side. That's all. Up here, he's a little deeper. Down here, he can be tighter. Okay? Everything stays the same there. He's got the pull. Now, what's going to make this cloudy? First of all, he takes that flatter step. As he stepped there, he wipes into the B. Right? Again, flat steps. He can wipe into the B. Now, as he's coming down and he sees the center's flat, his eyes come to here, right? Cloudy now, he's going to patch C to D inside unless he were to cross his face. We always say same color jersey crosses your face, exchange outside. There's a chance, well, I'm sorry, this can get so messy, and I'm using 4 different colors. If the end crosses his face inside, he'll cross outside, hence the C to D. Okay? Now to make him right, because we got a guy there, guy here, as he comes now, he could shoot hard downhill. Because for him to take that, he's opening the door up here, go underneath, right? That's what we're doing. And by doing that, The nose is wiped into B. You can now replace him in the A, inside linebacker. Hence, make the nose right. Typically, if he's flatter, he's a little deeper. If he's a little deeper, he's a little flatter, meaning the tackle. Okay? Still doing the same thing. Bam, right? Middle third. Still got check orbit. All those things are the same. But this is a beautiful blitz to run against the gap scheme, but in particular, gap counter scheme, especially when the halfback's on the same side as those two pullers. And when it's an H, so it's a GH scheme, you really got something. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Any questions, please reach out to me, Coach MJ Sullivan at gmail.com, because I would love to talk football with you.